We can use crypto to properly secure bank transactions. That's not how crypto works. I'm curious how you'd even make that a thing. Like, the whole blockchain thing, it's like, no, you're just misusing this technology. It's not going to accomplish the goal you think it's going to use. But, like, NFTs, where it's effectively just... I mean, all an NFT is, like, a secure link to an existing image kind of thing. And just like, okay, yeah, but, like, I can copy your image. And like, haha, we've disabled right mouse click. I'm like, well, I disabled JavaScript, and now I have right mouse click back. Boom. Or every single website that disables your allowing to paste in your password field. If you are ever doing that as a website designer, stop it. Don't do it. You're making your website less secure, and you're pissing off your users and making them not use good passwords. Oh yeah, Yo-Yo. It's an entire, like, basically it's a Ponzi scheme in how it's happening right now. There's no real inherent value behind it. It's just, it is a way to artificially create value. And then people want to get in because everyone wants to do the get rich quick thing. And the vast majority of people are going to lose a crap ton of money. Okay, so the very next day, we're going to have a nasty storm here. Like, conceptually, cryptocurrencies have clever things about them that make sense. In practice, they have many problems that make them non-viable for a lot of the use cases people purport to want to use them for. NFTs objectively do not make sense on their own. Like, ignoring all the other stuff around them. Unfortunately, in practice, so much, Are you some kind of right-clicker? Is that like the, this is one of the things you run to dev, is people be like, oh, you don't use shortcut keys, you use the UI. Oh, you use an IDE, you don't use, like, not even a text error. They'll be like, you don't use, like, Sublime. Or, I mean, nowadays it's VS Code. Like, you use, like, Visual Studio? Oh, you're wasting so much resources. Like, look, man, my computer's got, like, 32 gigs of RAM in it. I'm not worried about RAM. That is not a thing I'm concerned about. You know what's nice? That you don't have to arbitrarily remember every single console command for every single thing for every single framework. Yeah, well, I'm more of a highlighter on the monitor kind of dev. No, I'm teasing. Get out your Sharpie. Get a scrawling. Honestly, for a very long time, I used light mode even after dark mode started becoming popular, because just, you know, dark mode was still not getting through to a lot of different systems. Like, it was still new, and so it's like, right, I could make this dark mode, but then like half the other crap I use are still like white background and everything, and I have to alt tab between them regularly. which means, unfortunately, every time I have to alt-tab this other screen, like I have to, you know, do payroll or whatever, I'm flashbanging myself. So until most of these things support dark mode, switching is just making things worse for me just because I am doing that bounce back and forth. Because, like, whether you prefer light or dark, that's fine. Doing both is the only wrong answer. Doing both is how you make your eyes just angry beyond all belief. So I've mentioned this a number of times, like one of the things I do professionally is I do conference talk, user group talk, I give talks at businesses about supporting accessibility in software, and we're talking about, you know, people with disabilities, not accessibility so far as, you know, open communication kind of thing. And that is actually the term we use when you're talking about switching between light and dark backgrounds and all that. We call that flashbanging the user. Like, that's actually the term we use, you know, as an industry. But it's very, very problematic for people with certain types of light-sensitive issues. And really, the big part of that is most operating systems will expose what theme your computer is set to. So if you choose, like, a dark theme, it goes, okay, great, your application needs to support a dark theme as well. It doesn't have to be the same theme, but, like, if their theme is, like, charcoal gray, your theme should also be dark. You know, and just the same, it's also problematic if you only support a dark theme. Just the same, you should also, they'll expose if it's a high contrast theme, because that's, you know, usually helpful for people with color deficiency. Oh, come on, zombie, don't make me go in there. I think she saw me, yep. Like all those things. Just basically, whatever the user setting is, respect it. That's the entire answer. And the only people who have a really good excuse in that situation is web developers, because sometimes certain operating systems won't let them get access to it, so they can't tell that information. So, you know, sure, understand. If Windows, or I mean Windows does, but if, like, I'm gonna say Safari, I don't actually know, but let's say Safari does not expose the operating system's theme to, you know, to the browser or whatever, sure. I can't act on information I don't have. I get it. But nowadays I'm pretty sure Chrome does, I'm pretty sure Firefox does, Edge does, Brave does, which granted that's just Chrome. I mean, honestly, Edge these days is just Chrome. Under the hood, at least. But, like, if you're an application that just lives on the operating system, it's just a call or two to say, hey, what theme has been selected in this operating system? Yeah. Like, we're back in the day, we could get into these super long-winded arguments about, like, which browser is best, all that kind of stuff. Like, nowadays, like, it's nuanced. Like, you can get into privacy concern discussions, certainly, but as far as, like, the actual tech under the browser, they're almost all running kind of the same thing. It is a recent thing. But I mean, honestly, when it comes to, like, supporting people with disabilities, 90% of the work is, hey, Josie Raider, thank you for the raid. Give me 1 second, I'm going to kill this one zombie, and then I'm going to get you a shout-out. Playing some Project Zomboid. So how's your stream? Hopefully, the only deaths were the zombies, and if not, hopefully they're at least fun and, you know, you learn something from them. But yeah, so when it comes to considering people with disabilities in software and all that, like, 90% of it is, one, respecting whatever the user settings is. Nice, nice. Excellent. It's been fun watching more and more people doing 16x pop runs. But then the other thing is, you know, no matter how you feed your information to the user, giving them multiple options. So, like, if I have a podcast, great. That's audio, that's fine. Also provide like a written script. If I'm doing like, for example, the example I can give you here on Twitch, I have, you know, of course, both audio and video. But for those people who either the situation they're in makes it so they can't hear well, or they have, you know, like difficulty hearing, that kind of thing, we also have subtitles. It's not perfect. I mean, frankly, it could actually use a lot of help. But without having a whole bunch of money to throw at the problem, it's pretty good. So it is like offering multiple options. Now this concerns me with the zombie here, because like I said, we've had a couple times now. But watch how close I have to get to the zombie before it pays attention to me. So we got right up to the van. And even then it's still not moved. That's my concern, is I do not have safe counterplay if there's a zombie here. I have to just creep up and make sure. Okay. Like that in my opinion needs to change. That once you get close enough to something that obscures your vision, like a boxcar or van or whatever, they need to do the same cutaway thing they do with the buildings. And I know that's going to be a lot of work for them, and sorry, but it does need to be done. Or they just need to eliminate all vehicles that block vision. Or just have it anytime that a zombie is behind something that would obscure it, we get to see it from much farther away with a red outline as opposed to green. Right. And you're not wrong. But I shouldn't have to run every single time you get near a vehicle. Like that, to me, that is a band-aid for a fundamental problem in the way the game's presentation is. Alright, you have a good one too, Josie, and thank you again for the raid. Like, that's fighting a problem with the user interface, not like a strategic decision or whatever. Right, and as Greater Danger is kind of alluding to, that actually would make stuff like light-footed actively bad for you. Or I shouldn't say bad, dangerous. Right. And so that's the reason my suggestion around it would be, so like when it's something I'm not supposed to see behind, like very deliberately the idea is that, sorry, I decided I wanted to use a crowbar, or use the metal bar. Like if it's something that it recognizes my vision is obscured by this, like you see we get the Fog of War. Fog of War is fine. I'm okay with Fog of War. Like that is intended that I have to play around that. That is a very deliberate decision by the game to say, you can't see this zombie. If it gets you, that's a you problem. And I'm okay with that, because there's a play counterplay. You recognize you have Fog of War, you approach from different angles, that kind of thing. The van doesn't give me Fog of War. Like, I can see on the other side of the van. What I can't see is, like, and very deliberately, I should be able to see the zombies on this side of the van. My character is staring at it, with no obstruction. But I, the player, because of isometric camera angles, cannot see. So I think, so far of the things I've heard, the one I believe is, and admittedly this is my own thing mentioning, is I believe what should happen is when your vision is obstructed and there's a zombie there, it should put a red outline on the zombie where it's obstructed. So you can be like, oh, there's a zombie back there that I can't see. Like, it's not in range, but I am now aware. The catch is, I would need it to do that even when I don't have my weapon, like, ready to rock and roll. Which is something I'm sure a lot of people would not be happy about. So, like, it'll probably be a thing that would have to be an option in your options. Yes, 100% this is the top of stairs problem. Exact same problem. Your character would be entirely 100% aware of the situation they're walking themselves into. You, the player, are not. And that discrepancy is a problem. And so, like, like, in people I've heard to, it's like, oh yeah, I've gotten to the point where I will pull out a gun when I approach stairs and hold the hold the gun out and point in the direction of the stairs just to see if I get a green or red outline at the top of the stairs. Which is clever, but again, I'm like, okay, your fix is something you shouldn't have to do in the first place. I like the idea that when you're looking in the direction of a zombie that isometric has obscured, like it's not visible but should be visible, like, because they already do the math to see if the zombie can see you. Like, that's already a thing that exists. And they also do it where you can see, because when you point a gun, if you cannot see the zombie, it doesn't show up. And that's fog of war kind of stuff. All they have to do is say, okay, if you can see the zombie, just highlight it. You know, again, highlight it red. It's not in range, I can't hit it, like, don't make it confusing, but highlight it red would be like, yo, zombie. Like, I'd honestly be fine if, like, right now the zombie was highlighted red for me. I would be cool. I mean, you're also not wrong. Because the alternative is, I get to about here, and then you make the side of this van disappear so I can see behind it. Similar to what happens when you get near trees, where, like, if I get near this tree, around here, the tree goes translucent. I'd want the same thing for the van. You hear a zombie behind me, it's fine. Yeah, now it's just they need some solution for when your vision as the player is obscured due to isometric. As opposed to obscured, like deliberately obscured. You know, fog of war kind of stuff. But yeah, that is actually one of the things with this run is, for the most part, we don't go in buildings. Like we did earlier on when we had to get stuff from those buildings. But we're at the point where we almost never go in buildings anymore. We make enough noise, the zombies come out to us. Why do we go in? Because, I mean, it was yesterday we actually had a really close call where I went to go into a building just because I needed to sleep. We killed a zombie in the back room. Went to, you know, heard a zombie in the bathroom. We're like, alright, one zombie, opened the door, and it was the classic bathroom horde. Luckily we had enough nimble that I whacked one of the zombies and managed to sneak away before anything could get a hold of me. But hadn't I already been at 4 nimble, there's a very good chance I would have hit the one, got grabbed, and that would have been the end of it. Which, you know, when it happened, I'm like, I misplayed this whole thing. I should have just walked up to the door of the building, banged on the door a couple times, and that horde would have torn down the bathroom door in seconds, and we would have known exactly what the problem was. So you're saying that what I'm actually willing to do, or planning to do, is once I get my hands on a car that actually has, like, sirens on it, is just like creeping the car forward a little bit with the sirens running, let everything come out and attack us, kill whatever shows up, inch the car forward a little bit, kind of doing that approach. I mean, I should probably be testing it with the horn, I just haven't. But yeah, because I fully intend my approach for Louisville is effectively to kind of hang back at the fringe of where we see any zombies, and effectively let the zombies pile out to us, because there should be a high enough concentration. That's what exactly how it goes, is they will consistently be pushing out more and more, and we'll just mop up whatever comes after us, and just slowly inching in. And like, we'll probably do some tests with the siren approach in areas that are very low pop first to see how it unfolds, to figure out what the the pros, cons, dangers, and all that with it. Because, I mean, the simple danger would be you hit the sirens and then suddenly 400 or 500 zombies collapse in and you go, oh, clearly this is too many zombies. Like, that's the obvious danger. But, like, other considerations that might happen. Alright, so we're looking for advanced electrical. Make sure there's no one else in here. Yeah, so like these books obstruct as well. So that's a problem. Or not the books, the bookshelf. But yeah, they need a better across-the-board solution for it. Because like this, I have to slowly approach with my weapon ready, with the aim outline turned on, which is off by default. Okay, so we're looking for advanced electrical. There we go. That's what we came here for. Let's leave. There are. If you actually look at the crafting menu under electrical, there are a couple of things you can make. Stuff like motion sensors and all that. I personally find all of those things are things I will never use because almost all of them involve setting stuff on fire, and I don't do burns. Plus, even if I were to do burns, I don't think I would want a burn to surprise me at home at night kind of thing, where you put up a motion sensor and a zombie trips it and then sets your house on fire kind of thing. To me that sounds like a bad play. So it's kind of a thing that, okay, but what do I use this for? Like what's this purpose? Other than potentially making a much, a dangerous situation exponentially more dangerous. Time to move the vehicle up again. Actually, first, let's ditch some stuff off of our inventory. Yeah, I think the catch is, why would I use a taser? Like, okay, it's a ranged weapon that doesn't make noise. Alright, I'm on board, but... I tase a zombie, there's a big horde around, I still gotta walk up and smash its head in, which makes noise. Like, I'm trying to picture where it fits in. And then I assume it'd have to be a reusable taser. Otherwise, any investment would be too much. Not that taser couldn't be a thing, just, Yeah, maybe when the NPCs drop, it does serve a good purpose. Like, I could absolutely see that, NPCs that are hostile to you, you'd have the choice of non-lethal takedown, and that strategically that might make sense. So you take down a human opponent, disarm them, and they stop trying to kill you kind of thing. And maybe at that point you could take someone who is considered hostile to you and potentially work on that hostility. Like, I don't know how you'd set that all up, but I could see stuff like that. I'm not sure that's something I want in Project Zomboid, but I've already made it clear that I am concerned is not the word I want to use, but I'm going to go with it. Like, the introduction of NPCs is going to have a massive change to the ambiance of the game. You're no longer the lone survivor. You're one of many. So that is one of those things that I'm not sure how I feel about yet. I'm gonna have to see the implementation, so I don't want to get super judgy on it. But it is one of those changes that's like, I don't know. I mean, granted, with the way they've set up their sandbox, it's probably just gonna be a thing where they'll be like, okay, well then turn it off. I'm like, all right, deal. The good old RimWorld approach. Knock them down. You know, rough them up and all that. Slowly convince them that you're friends. And I'm trying to get as many zombies as I killed today in game, because we are going to be pushed off. There's a nasty storm coming. And when that happens, we'll end up backing out. Hey, how's it going, Moon? We are fast approaching 35,000 zombie kills. Oh yeah, 14 hunting knives? There's a reason why a bunch of people have been like jokingly calling me like Mr. Shortblade and all that. When you're talking these kinds of zombie populations, you can't fight a little while, back off, recover your stamina, fight a little while, recover, back off, recover your stamina. Like, it just takes too long. So the moment my stamina gets to the point where I'm getting close to exerted, snap out the hunting knives and go to town. And now that we're at like 7 maintenance, they do last long enough. They usually will replace my hunting knives faster than I use them up. Hey, thank you for the raid. Give me one moment and I'll get you a shout out. It's gonna be just a second. Gotta deal with these 5. Make that 6. Or wait, was it 7? Either way, I will deal with these zombies. And as I see, the squid raid has returned. And I see you're playing some more Splatoon 2 again. I hope you had a good stream. Yeah, I am busy with the zombies. Alright, we got a hydrate. I just did, but I'll do another hydrate here in a minute. But at the moment, we are trying to get as much mileage around clearing town as possible. Just because we have tomorrow in game, we have a severe storm showing up. So the goal is get as much as we can done today before we have to run back home tomorrow to deal with, you know, just working on skills kind of stuff, because going out and about trying to fight zombies in terrible weather is a good way to just die, so we try to avoid doing that. Yeah, we didn't have a big pile of zombie bodies. I was about to say, it's like, oh, if I have a big pile of zombie bodies. During the storm day, I'm probably going to be working on my metalworking skill, I would guess. Like, we'll probably roll around the Ekron, like taking stuff apart, working on skills. That's basically what we've been doing pretty much all the storm days in the game, is just skill training. Oh, Colo cashing in a stretch. Let me go ahead and get that going. It looks super broken or something. Like, it... I have not tried to lick my elbow. I probably could, but I don't feel like I want to try. But yeah, so I do have a hyper flexible shoulder, so it does bother people when I do it, but yeah. You know what, okay. So I'll just warn everyone for like just a moment, I will show it, but like for people who, because it actually technically does pop out of socket, so if anyone that's going to bother them, look away for like 10-15 seconds and I'll let you know when I'm done. It's been a long time since I've done it. But yeah, it's just, I'm hyper flexible. The pro and the con of that, oh, and I'm done. But the pro and the con of that is like, yeah, it's super flexible, but when you have hyper flexible, you're more likely to get stuff like arthritis and all that. So it's not anything I chose to do or anything, it's just some people have it, some people don't. It's not like a disability or anything, it's just the nature of it. But yeah, so I'm done doing it. I'm not going to do it again on stream, like, just because I do know, like, some people it bothers. It probably bothers people more, like, when I'm in a tank top and you actually see, like, where it looks like it's just out of socket kind of thing. Well, it's not like my body does not contain bones or anything like that. It's just that particular joint has a lot more flexibility than most people have. You know, and it's both left and right arm. I may have, like, I figured that out, that wasn't a normal thing. Well, I shouldn't say it wasn't normal. It wasn't a common thing when I was in elementary school. I may have not wanted to do gym one time, and may have made my gym teacher thought I broke my arm. In hindsight, it was a really crap thing for me to do as a kid. But, you know, I didn't want to do PE. It's not like I normally enjoyed PE, it's just that particular day was just one of those days like, I'm just not in the mood, it's hot, I just don't wanna. And so, we have a machete, good times. So, you know, I threw my arm over my shoulder and, like, started, not crying, but looking, like, very upset about it. Yeah, it was a very not cool thing for me to have done as a kid. Because I'm sure I wish I could remember in more detail, because I'm sure I absolutely freaked the living hell out of my teacher. You know, thinking one of your students just, like, absolutely busted their shoulder or something. But, you know, you're a dumb kid, you do dumb kid things. So I'm going to try and rip up some clothes, because like I said, we're going to get stuck. Usually when you have these severe storms show up in game, Sometimes it'll be 1 day. I find most of the time they're 2 days long. So I kind of want to get some supplies so that when we do get stuck in the middle of all this crap, we have like 2 days worth of supplies for skill training. Hi, zombie. You need to wait your turn, zombie. I'm in the middle of something. Come on, zombie. Don't be this way. Fine, if you want to be in the body pile that badly. Oh, you too? That's fine. There's room. Oh, and one neat trick you can have, let's see if I can find it. It's not destroyed. If you ever have one of these leather jackets that's, like, where is it? Yeah, so you see how, like, this sweater has, it's X'd out, I can't tear it because there's nothing left of it. Now, you don't care about regular clothes for that, but, like, leather clothes, you sometimes do care about for working on. As a pro tip, one thing you can actually do is say, like, this one here. I could inspect it. In fact, I will. And I'll patch one of these holes. Now if I look at it, the leather jacket isn't torn. Now if I rip it, I get the leather. Because normally you can't rip it because it's considered too damaged. So, pro tip for you. Hey, not a whole lot, Blue Moon. Getting ready to have a nasty storm in game. So just prepping for it. Go for it. Like that's the kind of stuff they're like, oh, we're gonna patch and get rid of them. Like, alright. But that can be a useful thing, because as you get farther and farther in the game, the amount of clothes you see that aren't ruined get less and less. So you know. It is... Oh, the skills? We can do that. So, the skills haven't changed much since the last time. I think we gained... Did we gain short blunt and short blade since last time? Oh yeah, and then the trade skills have gone up a lot. But otherwise, combat skills, we've just mostly made progress. Like, we're getting real close to Nimble 5. And that's probably going to be more and more of what we see between our days, just because we are getting to that point where, you know, our strength and fitness are getting real high. As you get higher, the rate things move gets slower and slower. So yeah. Oh, the camera's covering the bottom half? Alright. I don't have a good place to put this anymore. Oh, here we go. All the way up here. Our survival skills are mostly crap. We got a point or two in fishing, you know, since the last time, because we did actually do some fishing. That's the reason why our weight is no longer on underweight or anywhere near underweight. We're like really kind of on the top end of, you know, healthy, normal, that kind of thing. But yeah, so I'm just tearing up a bunch of clothes before we head back to our main base, because we are getting ready to ride out a storm. So trying to have materials ready to at least be able to progress some skills while we're here. Yeah, Nimble 5 is going to be huge. Excuse you. If you want to be part of the corpse pile that bad, you just had to ask. You don't need to be rolling up on me, making all sorts of noises. Yeah, I think this will be the last ones we tear, and then we're going to work our way home, because it's getting pretty late. It's getting pretty dark. We're just about to hit drowsy. But we are really close to hitting 35,000 zombies killed, which will be nice. It's a pretty good milestone. That's, you know, at this point we are over a third of the way there to 100,000 zombies killed, which is not our goal, but, you know, it is a major milestone. Now I think about it, I really don't need the sheets at all. I just need the thread. I have plenty of sheets. Yeah, I can't click anyone. He's saying there's a mod that, you know, basically when you pull thread off of these buys, you'll notice this is like only a fourth or a fifth of a spool thread. Every single one of those 44 in that stack will be the same way. There is a mod that will make it so it consolidates them, and you can consolidate them manually, but you do it like two you know, things of thread at a time, which is extraordinarily tedious. I really wish when you shredded clothes, it just automatically stacked them. Like, and I know there's mods that do that behavior, but I mean, base game, I wish it would just do that. And we're going to turn this off because I want it to be quieter. There is a sports car that we're going to grab. We have the battery for it in the back, but I'm not going to worry about trying to drive the sports car. I'm just going to grab it and we're going to tow it. Which will be slow, probably get us caught in the storm, but you know, that is life. And we've made excellent progress so far as clearing the city. We're going to pull up the map real fast. So if we look at it, all the area that's lighted, we've been through, we've killed all the zombies we've seen there, and yeah, there's going to be some strolling in, as you just saw. But there's just really this one last set of blocks over here. Yep, you can tow cars. Towing in this game can be pretty jank at times. But it works. We're actually going to do that here in a minute. Yeah, so we got more zombies here. That's going to happen for a while. I made the comment a couple of times that when you do these runs, you end up having where, like, you're killing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of zombies every day, like, pushing your way through town. And it just seems like the zombies in the area begin to gradually dry up as you kill all the zombies in the area. The ones that are wandering into reinforce kind of go away. And then there's just none left. Alright, so if we go down here, there is this really, really nice sports car. That'll probably be what I use instead of this, because we almost got ourselves killed with this van earlier because it obscures the zombies enough that you don't always see them until you're right there. And so you just walk into the back, hit V as in violin, choose to attach it. We'll see how this goes, because some cars can handle towing a lot without a problem. And this is one of those cars from the looks of it. Other cars, when you get into second gear, it just loses all of steam, like all of its go. I do try to avoid driving over bodies at any real speed, especially when towing, because physics gets weird. And so while driving over the bodies doesn't directly damage your car, sometimes you like ramp your car in the air, put it up on two wheels, that kind of thing. And losing your control of your car makes you bang into trees and posts and stuff, and that will hurt your car. Or run over zombies. Running over live zombies hurts your car. Running over dead zombies does not hurt your car. That's just simple science. Which I used to say otherwise because I had gotten conflicting information about it, but we actually did go through and said, alright, well, let's just take a vehicle we have and drive over a whole bunch of zombie bodies, and we took the stats of what our what the health of like our tires and suspension and all that was before we drove over the whole bunch of bodies and after, and it was the same number, which means we took no real damage. Can you flip your car two wheel? You can put your car on two wheels, and you can actually roll over your car and such like that. Like you can 100%. Like I've dumped a car on its side before, and you can actually put a car on its roof as well. You know, at which point you've lost a car. I mean, technically, you can actually hit a pile of zombies enough you can tip your car end over end as well. But when it's on its roof and then on its wheels, I believe once the car is on its roof, you've lost a car. I believe that's just the end of it. I don't believe there's a means of putting it back on its wheels, at least not that I'm aware of. I've never tried, to be honest, but I don't believe there is. Because I think about all you could do is ram it, which is asking to get yourself killed, and maybe that would work. But it would severely damage both cars. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Integer Smirk, is there is a possibility you could slam into it with the car and maybe get it back on its wheels, but you would severely damage both vehicles in the collision, and it is a very, very good way of severely hurting, if not killing, your character. Like, more than likely, even if it's a car you did want to recover, once it's on its hood, if you had to slam it to get it flipped back over, then yeah. You would probably not want the car nearly as much. Yeah, I mean, so I've come to the conclusion that other than multiplayer, in multiplayer there are reasons for it, but outside of multiplayer, there is no reason to grind up first aid. And the reason I say there's no reason to grind up first aid is the whole benefit of first aid is that you can heal faster in a pinch, that kind of thing. So you spend less time injured. But to get there, you have to injure yourself again and again and again, and bandage yourself again and again and again. So you're going to spend less time being injured by spending way more time being injured, ? Now multiplayer, all that goes away because, you have a whole bunch of other people. People are going to get injured. You can bandage them up, slowly gain your first aid. It also allows you to treat people more effectively. Like having someone take the time to grind up their first aid can help the group if the group is accident prone, if you will. But even then, even in multiplayer, I'm like, yeah, but grinding up first aid is absolutely atrocious. Right, Fenrir. There are things that first aid does. Like, it'll let you have a better idea. Like, it'll let you know when your stitches are ready to come out. It'll let you know that you're, when you can take your splint off. It makes your splint work a little bit better. All those kind of things. But the consequence with all that is you've had to injure yourself a hell of a lot to get there. That, and if your things are going well in your playthrough, you shouldn't need first aid on any real amount. Like, the occasional, trip and skin your knee kind of thing, sure. But, if you're getting splints or, fractures and that, things, you've made decisions that were really not good decisions or, really messed up a play or movement or something. Yeah, Jinglesby Jankin goes, first aid is absolutely useless. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's absolutely useless, but it is not useful, if that makes sense. It does things, but what you have to do to train it is not worth the reward, if it was, as it were. Right, or Poity says, or fall through the roof of the firewood. There are times you get hurt, but it is those things you kind of learn your lesson once, and then you should be careful with that on. First aid is the kind of skill that it need not have, or first aid is the kind of skill that it not have a need, rather than need not to have. I'm probably just misreading that, and I apologize. First aid is the kind of skill that it not have and need, rather than need and not have. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, I am towing a car. Towing a really nice sports car with a 507 horsepower engine. Yeah, first aid go brr. Yeah, for multiplayer, as I said, I see value in having someone in your group having good first aid in multiplayer. Fair enough. But to give an example, we're almost 35,000 zombies into this. I think I have 14 points in first aid. I think we hit with the van, which I'd rather hit with the van than the sports car. But I think we're at 14 points in first aid. because like I've tripped twice and scratched myself twice. But like the only real benefits of first aid is you'll heal a little bit faster. And they can identify some stuff like, oh, your fracture's there, your splint's there. And as you mentioned, you can make it so you can move normal speed with a splint. But to get there, you still have to need a splint. So like if you're fracturing your leg at any real cadence, the problem isn't first aid. The problem is you're fracturing your leg. Because the only ways I know of to fracture your leg is one, fall from a second story. Fair enough. There are times you make that mistake where you go, oh well, I'll just walk on this roof, and then the roof is fake, and you fall through. That's a completely understandable and fair reason to get a fracture that, you know, I would not blame a person for having that happen. It's sometimes not easy to tell in the moment what is and isn't walkable without taking extra steps. And then the other way is to get into car crashes at decent speeds. Just don't do that. Take your time. Yeah. Oh, and again, I will say, multiplayer... So, my comments on first aid is, like, where it's like, I feel like it's a skill that doesn't have a purpose. You know, in single player, I feel like there's not worth the time investment at all. Multiplayer, again, totally different story. There is value in multiplayer for it. Also, people who forget to check your shoes. Yeah, Foxmouse. I'm not sure if you were very specifically referring to where I had stomped on a zombie's head. When I did, it broke my shoes. I had just broken a window and cleared the glass and climbed through, had not noticed my shoes broke, so jumped onto the broken glass. You can imagine how this went. Got very confused as to why I had 2 deep wounds, and at first I thought there were deep wounds on my hand, and I was just sitting there going, but I cleared the glass. Like, I cleared the gas. I, like, double-checked the window and, like, I cleared the glass. What happened? And then, you know, it finally dawned. I was like, oh, wait, those are my feet that have deep wounds in them, not my hands. You know, we, like, hobbled our way back to, you know, a house we had cleared just a little bit before and just started, like, chain bandaging our feet, just trying to not bleed out from deep wounds in both of our feet because I didn't have the stuff I needed to suture my feet closed. And it was funny because we were going, yep, that is my first and my second deep wound I had ever gotten in the game. And if you're excluding self-inflicted deep wounds from multiplayer first aid training, I think I've only had something like 4 or 5 deep wounds in my entire time playing Project Zomboid. I can't kill anyone. The first time a heli showed up, I ended up stomping too much and my shoe broke, and I walked over broke glass. Yeah. And like, if you're looking to train first aid, that's usually how you do it. Is you break a window, you do not remove the glass from the window. You leave the broken glass on the ground. You take off your clothes so you don't tear them up on the windowsill, and you just jump through the windowsill onto the broken glass, suture everything closed, jump back through the window. You know, get yourself all nice and horribly mutilated, bandage everything up, and then you go and do something else for a while till all those wounds heal up. And then you go find yourself the window again, and to jump through the window. You get the idea. Gotcha. We got lucky that I had... Because I wasn't sure what was happening in the moment, and I had debated the 2 different options of, one is I could push into the house and try and rest in the house, and the other was I could leave. And because just the moment I didn't know what the situation was, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to leave the house and go back to where I know is safe, which is the right call, because I think we went back to the house and there were some like 8 or 9 zombies like in the next room or something. And I agree, Jingles. Like, in multiplayer, it can make sense if you're working with a group that's, again, accident-prone. That, you know, people are going to be needing their splints and all that kind of stuff. But single player, it's like, I'm just not going to. Like, I did it a couple times just to show, but yep. Alright, Colo. Thank you for the lurk, and thank you for the follow. Messy Mar, welcome to stream. It's really dark because the storm has finally caught up to us. When I say caught up, I mean we hit the point the storm started, which is the reason we were retreating from that position. Is, yeah. Now, before I forget, I had pulled the battery out because it was dead since our past winter. But we were charged on the battery charger, so... Yep, we just made it back to base. I'm going to top off the van. First, always when you go to fill out your gas, even if you've cleared the place 1,000 times, even if you have no respawns, you just do a lap around the pump, make sure you are actually clear of zombies, because you are very, very vulnerable when you're fueling up. Because you have these two gas pumps behind you, I have no idea what's happening back here. You could have amassing 40 zombies just like, up, sup, we're going to come from all sides, and you're dead. And you're also stuck facing this way. So you have no idea what's happening behind you. So gas pumps leave you vulnerable. So it's good just to take a moment to make sure the area is clear before you start fueling up, if you have the opportunity. Where am I going to park you? I'm going to park you over here. I'm going to park you all the way over here. Yes, you have to have electricity to run the pumps. I have a generator and Rage running them. Oh, I can't take all that. There's way too much in here. Okay. We'll deal with that in a moment. Right, we had this crap, because this is a backpack we found. Next up, we'll fuel up this car. Oh. Right, you need gas. Ditch some of the stuff I don't need out of this. I will never need the scalpel. Get rid of the rosewood map. The rest I guess is fine. But yeah, so we have a gas pump. Teeny Tiny Clune says, I was just playing with some friends and we were in the car garages near the warehouse and all of a sudden helicopter. One of my friends got 2 lacerations, didn't get infected, and the other was somehow unscathed. I came out with a scratch. Excellent. Alright, so let's grab the stuff that's going to go in the other car first. So 2 gas cans, the jack, the wrench, this, the tire pump, and that's all that's going in the other car. And normally I like to be asleep by now in game, but we took the long trek, we're doing that. I'm just going to get this car fueled up and ready to go, just in case you run into trouble. So that goes in here first. As done one of the gas cans. The other one we'll top off the car with. Well, not top off, put in the car. T Tycoon says, it was stressful and I thought on running some of the horde over while sacrificing myself, but decided against it because maybe one less escape vehicle for him. Yeah, I usually am not a one to go, okay, let's get ourselves killed kind of thing. Oh, car, you are going to be trouble. I can feel that already. Good trouble, but trouble. The reason I wanted to grab this car is it's 570 horsepower, which is the most I've seen out of any cars this playthrough. It's light as well, so this car is going to have a whole lot of go. Just these two. That car is topping off because it was driving around, and then this car is a new car I got my hands on. Did I turn it off? I did. Okay. Then that can just sit there. We need to get our character to sleep. But yeah, all the other cars should be full that I care about. Like, we have many a backup car. How are you doing? You're doing fine. Alright. Plants are growing fine. They don't need to water them because it's raining. Here's our wonderful katana bed. Now up to 17 katanas, and we have our 4 doctorates. So that's excellent. We have 2 just generic doctorates and 2 doctorates in surgery. So all good news there.